What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Apologies I couldn't get this video out yesterday. My schedule ended up getting a little bit packed as it is today, but I'm still going to get my 2 videos out. But week 4, guys, could have been the best weekend in college football this season. It was exciting. There was drama. There was action. There were some really surprising blowouts in there as well. But guys, week 4 was absolutely phenomenal, and there is a lot that you could take away out of a star-studded, out of just an absolute jam-packed week that we had across the college football slate. I'm going to here give you my 5 biggest takeaways, although you could take more away from this week as well. Please leave your takeaways down in the comment section below and help support this channel any other way you can. Guys, thank you for all the support the channel has seen as of late. Continue to show your support. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that to help me support this channel. You guys are doing one of them right now just by watching the video, and you guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys are willing and or able to do to help me support this channel. Whatever you guys are able to do means a lot to me. So let's dive on in here. Week 4 takeaways. These are my 5 biggest takeaways from week 4 of the college football season. And number 5 here maybe isn't really a takeaway, but it's kind of more of an observation, right? Even though it wasn't necessarily an upset crazy week, like there were not a ton of big upsets that happened around the college football world last week. We did have some very, very close calls, but there wasn't really a huge upset that took place last week. Maybe you can call Washington State over Oregon State an upset there. But this weekend was just filled with phenomenally fun games, and it really feels like no weekend in the college football season is really going to top that. I mean, the one week that I can think of off the top of my head is maybe week 8, because Ohio State, Penn State is that week. I believe Notre Dame, USC is that week. There are a couple big matchups in the Pac-12 and the SEC that take place that week as well. So maybe week 8, maybe week 8. But this week was just phenomenal. There are so many good football games on. And again, we're going to break down a lot of them here in this video here. But I mean, the whiteout game. You had the whiteout game here in week 4, one of the best environments in all of college football. An instant classic you see right in the middle of your screen. Not just Utah, UCLA, but 2 other Pac-12 matchups that really told us a lot about both sides. Florida State retaking the top of the ACC. More about that later. LSU and Arkansas right down to the wire. Bama and Ole Miss right down to the wire. Or maybe not right down to the wire, but still was a fairly good game to go watch. Maybe never really in doubt that Alabama had that one in hand. But week 4 was absolutely phenomenal. I think the next absolutely massive slate, there are going to be huge games every single week from this point on. But the absolutely huge, enormous slate may end up taking place in week 8. We will wait and see. So that was my number 5 takeaway, kind of just an observation. My number 4 overall takeaway from this week, the SEC division races could prove to be very, very close. And I think I've already talked about this with the SEC East. Yes, Georgia is still that top dog, but that race for second definitely could be close, and they even could push Georgia there as well. Missouri is a team that can still push Georgia. They are undefeated. Kentucky, Florida, even still teams like Tennessee in there as well. South Carolina had a revival against Mississippi State, but the division that I want to talk about here is the SEC West, right? LSU, after absolutely going out and slaughtering Mississippi State, they really did struggle with an Arkansas team that got trampled by BYU the very weekend prior. So that's a very interesting conversation to watch. Texas A&M went and beat Auburn. Auburn's got some things to work on. Meanwhile, Texas A&M sure looks a lot better than they did in that performance against the Miami Hurricanes. Alabama finally seems to have found their footing here. They seem to have gotten back on the right track. Now, again, wasn't perfect, but they definitely got back on the right track. And meanwhile, Ole Miss definitely felt like it kind of took a step back, right? So, and then, of course, when you throw Mississippi State in there as well, guys, these 7 teams are all going to play really, really close within each other. It's just going to be a very phenomenal SEC division race to watch. I think the SEC as a whole, while normally it's very, very competitive, I feel like this year just has a different feel. I feel like this year feels a little bit bigger for teams in the SEC. Let me know if you guys agree in the comment section down below. This year just feels like it's more competitive. This year just feels like it's not necessarily a little bit more balanced, but a little bit more open, especially in the SEC West. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting division race to watch. Very, very interesting conversations can be had out of this division. So there's my number 4 takeaway. Number 3 takeaways. Now we get into individual games here. Florida State has officially taken over the top spot in the ACC, but oh boy, the Clemson Tigers did not make it easy on them. No, they did not, but Florida State was still able to take control, take that top spot, and Florida State is your new front runner in the ACC. Now, albeit Clemson does not look like they are going to lie down here. Clemson does have a pretty interesting path to get back to the ACC championship game. They're probably going to be favored in every game, maybe give or take one, maybe two, that Clemson's not going to be favored in the rest of the way. But I happen to believe if you take a look at the Clemson schedule, they may possibly be favored in every game, maybe besides one. I think you have to go on the road and play Miami. So Florida State trips up a couple of times. Well, again, you're going to need Florida State to trip up a lot here. So Florida State, if you look at the rest of their schedule, they're probably going to be favored in every other game that they play this season. Now, I know they've cut it close the past couple of weeks. Heck, they needed overtime to go beat a Clemson team that a lot of people feel like is just not great. I happen to disagree on that point. I think Clemson's a very sound defensive football team, and the offense definitely seems to have come around as of late. It needed to here in this game, but Florida State stepped up huge. Yes, there was the missed field goal, the missed opportunity. Oh, no. For that kicker, I genuinely really feel so bad for him. College kickers, man. College kickers. But, yeah, Florida State's taken over the top spot in the ACC, and in all likelihood has kind of solidified their spot in the ACC championship game, given what they have on the schedule coming up. So, Florida State, the first month here was the big month for Florida State, and they come away unscathed. Yes, there are still some things that Florida State is going to have to work on, still going to have to fix. They definitely did not look like the Florida State team that beat LSU here in this game against Clemson, but they were able to get by, they were able to get the win, and they were able to cement their spot atop the ACC. That's my number 3 takeaway. My number 2 takeaway, and maybe it should have been a takeaway long before this, but I think now, especially when you take a look at the Pac-12 title race, it is just going to be absolutely electric. Electric. I mean, you look at what Oregon did against the Colorado Buffaloes, and I had this takeaway last week where I said that Colorado was a step below the other contenders in the Pac-12. I also said during my Oregon-Colorado preview that I thought Oregon was absolutely going to blow Colorado out of Autzen Stadium, which is exactly what happened. Colorado just ended up getting outmatched. Oregon was by far the superior team, and you know what? Oregon, as a team here, look, they can absolutely push for a spot in the college football playoff, not only in the Pac-12 title game, but in the college football playoff. Utah was very impressive, especially defensively against the UCLA Bruins, and while UCLA definitely has some things to work on here, they're definitely not out of the race either. We've seen what Dante Moore can be, even though he did really struggle in this game here against a physical, hard-nosed Utah defense. We've seen what Dante Moore can be, and if he can get back to playing the way that he was in some of the earlier games this season, UCLA definitely is not out of the race either. I'm not saying Colorado is out of the race either, but Colorado's got to fix some things first. They got to fix that offensive line. They got to fix that defense before they can really fully get themselves back into the Pac-12 title race. And then how about the Washington State Cougars pulling out a huge win in Pullman over the Oregon State Beavers, who, again, Oregon State not out of it either. That team has looked really, really good throughout most of this college football season, guys. But the Washington State Cougars really kind of came out of nowhere. This is a team that I think some people expected to be pretty competitive, but at the end of the day just fall short to a lot of the teams that at the beginning of the year were kind of power rated above them, right? Oh, no, no, no. Washington State is not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. In fact, they are in the conversation for a Pac-12 title. Yes, they are. It's time to start taking the Cougars seriously. Cam Ward is just a phenomenal talent. He's got a lot of great weapons. This Washington State defense is playing really, really well. And can we talk for a minute about the quarterbacks in the Pac-12? Like, at the beginning of the year, I thought your Heisman candidate was going to come from a position player. No. Your Heisman winner, guaranteed. And I will sit here and guarantee this because I truly do believe it, at least up to this point. I'm actually not going to sit here and guarantee it. That's not what I'm about. But when you take a look at the quarterbacks that are in the Pac-12 conference with Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Cam Rising has still not played. He's going to make a big difference when he comes back on that Utah team. Cam Ward, Dante Moore has still been pretty good. Shadur Sanders, like there are just so Caleb Williams, of course. How could I forget him? The strength of this conference is just elite. It is immense. Right now, this is the best conference in college football, and its title race is going to be one of the most fun things that you will see during the college football season. But my number one takeaway comes from the biggest game of the weekend. It's time to stop doubting what this Ohio State team can do. But I'm also here to say that Notre Dame is not out of the college football playoff picture. So let's start with that Ohio State claim. Yes, you see the shirt that I'm wearing. Yes, you guys know the colors that I support. You know that I like to wear the scarlet and gray proudly on my sleeves. But when I take a look at this Ohio State team, there were a lot of people doubting what this team could do, especially in the physically tough aspect of the game. Now, let's be real here for a second, right? Ohio State definitely was not the more physical team in Saturday night's epic win, right? Notre Dame was definitely the more physical team, especially in the second half. Ohio State's defense and this run game came up with some really, really big plays. And the offensive line, especially in that final drive, gave Kyle McCord enough time to throw. We'll get back to Kyle McCord in a hot second here. But for the Ohio State Buckeyes, they definitely were not the more physical team. That is not in question. But especially towards the end there, they were probably the more tough team, tougher team, sorry, grammar, which there is a difference. Physicality is on the line of scrimmage. Can you win the line of scrimmage? Toughness is blocking out all the noise and being able to deliver and create some huge plays in a big moment. And that's exactly what this Ohio State team did, right? I think it's time to stop doubting, maybe not their physicality, although they definitely possess it on both lines within their running back room, but it's time to stop doubting how tough this team is, and especially their quarterback in Kyle McCord. Yeah, the majority of the game was maybe not his best outing, although this is a really, really good Notre Dame defense, but that final drive, man, if you were not impressed by that final drive of Kyle McCord, I don't really know what you were watching, because he really matured like that. It was really, really fast. He made some incredible throws, some incredible plays, and this honestly was just the game of the week, possibly even game of the year. Ohio State really, really did get better in this game, and while there are still some things that you want to see improve, the Buckeyes have a bye week coming up here where they can use that time to improve. But Notre Dame isn't out of the college football playoff race either, guys. You have Clemson, you have USC that are still up on that schedule. You even have a couple tricky road games like Duke and Louisville, who right now sit undefeated and definitely are still players in the ACC title race. So Duke still has a lot of opportunities to go get Notre Dame still has some opportunities to go get some huge, high, marquee wins. This loss does not take them out of the college football playoff picture. So Let me know what you guys thought about my week 4 takeaways and anything else you want to leave in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard to tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.